Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Tuesday, April the 18th. The year's 2023. Let's talk trading. Check your ego. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. Yesterday, I talked about management, and I went over a few things about management, but I realized I missed something, and that's the ego part, checking your ego. And how do you know if your ego needs to be checked? Well, if somebody tells you something and it may have to do with you or something that you believe in or think, and it runs counter, do you immediately jump to the defensive? Because if you do, that's probably ego. And let me tell you, I know I need to check my ego at times because, I like to argue. I'm pretty good at it. I study thinking and logic and, all the logical fallacies. So in most debates, I can usually tear the other person to shreds. Point being is sometimes, though, and especially in trading, ego can get in the way. So, maybe you want the price to go down and it's going up. And you just, start looking for reasons to short, and that might be confirmation bias kicking in. You're just looking for all the things that tell you, yeah, you're right. The pound should drop, or the yen should rise, or whatever you're trading. This stock should go up, or that commodity should go down. But if you're only looking for things that confirm your initial belief or hypothesis, once again, that might just be ego getting in the way. And when ego gets in the way, it can really cause massive problems. So what I did this morning was I pulled up a blank chart and I put somebody else's indicator on the chart, not one of my own, because I want to see if I could check my ego, follow somebody else's plan to the letter, and see how many times I get in my own way and my ego gets in there. I start to, instead of doing what I'm supposed to do, I do something else. And that could be a really good experiment for each of you traders. You start with a blank chart and pull out something that you've never used before. You could do a dime a pip or dollar pip, or whatever you feel comfortable with, but you have to put some skin in the game, because demo trading just doesn't count. You've got to experience the loss when you lose. You have to experience the stress of being down. But if you could do that, you could see if you could actually follow somebody else's plan to the letter. And if you can do that, then you should be able to follow your own plan to the letter. But once again, it gets back to the ego. Can you check it? Because I've seen so many traders who will, want to use one of my systems, or anybody else's system for that matter, but, it's usually one of mine, because, they've, gotten a few of my indicators, either the free ones or the donational ones, and I look at their chart, and usually it's like, well, what's that squiggly line doing on the chart? That's not part of the system. And the thing is, it's like, and these are traders who are struggling to be profitable. It's not somebody that's got, days, months, weeks, years of wins, money in their bank. No, these are traders who are still trying to find their way, but they haven't checked their ego, because they've got to mess with it. I mean, sure, you might have one or two favorite indicators that you put up there, but once again, that's your ego. You can always come back to that. But when you're in the learning phase, you don't go to karate class and start doing judo moves. That's not what we do here. So you just have to look in the mirror and say, and try and figure out why you're doing it. And you just might come to the conclusion it's your ego. And the thing is, you're not less of a person if you follow somebody else's plan to the letter. I mean, think about it. If you want to cook something, you follow the recipe, especially if it's your first time. Because if you mess with it, you start adding a little bit of this and taking out that, it's not going to be anywhere near what it's supposed to be. It's just not. I mean, you want to make Toll House chocolate chip cookies, it's right there on the bag. Follow the recipe. You're going to have some good tasting cookies. Now, maybe down the road, you've done it a few times now. You go, you know what? I really like coconut, so I'm going to add some shredded coconut in with those chocolate chip cookies. You try that, it's like, hey, that's pretty good. But, to do that right off the bag or right out of the box, right from the get-go, no, no. Follow the recipe. So maybe that's what we'll have to do instead of calling it trading plan. It's trading recipe. Here's what you do first, here's what you do second, here's the ingredients. I mean, if you're trading a rat zone or you're trading a wick zone, I mean, what are you doing with squigglies, especially MACD or stochastics and some of that other stuff? It's got nothing to do with it. We're talking highs and lows here. We're talking horizontal lines. So why are you putting squigglies in a horizontal line based system? I mean, hey, if you're a profitable trader, then my question is, why are you even doing, if you're already profitable, why are you changing? I mean, sure, you could be like me and you just like to try new things out and always tinkering to improve because you're never quite satisfied. Or you could just be wanting to bang out a few hundred a day, day in, day out. If you're doing that, there's no reason to change. I mean, you can watch other people's videos and they'll pretty much tell you the same thing. It's like you get your system, you get it down, you just keep trading it. As I would say, you milk that cow till it runs dry. Because once it stops working, then you got to find something else, either a new cow or a new system. And the problem with traders, and once again, it's their ego. If they try a system for a day, take a few trades, and they lose money, oh, that system's no good. They never stop and think that, what am I doing wrong? What am I not doing right? Because if this system supposedly makes money, why aren't I making money with this system? Once again, ego. It's the system that's not making money rather than the trader. And we all know it's the trader that makes the money, not the system. Because if the system makes money, some people say, then you write an EA and then you just turn it on and go about your day. And at the end of the day, you check in and you should be up, 10, $100,000, period, right? But we know that usually doesn't happen. Okay, let's go to the charts and see what's going on here. Okay, we've got the pound near the psychological 24.25 line. We're 90 pips above the monthly open. Notice once again, we're just skirting in these wick zones from the previous 4 months right here. Okay, we're 121 off the high, 151 off the low for the month. We'll drop down to the week. 25 above the open, and the open was at 124.00, so it's right there at a psychological point. 24 off the weekly high, 72 off the low, and so far we've got one gap, Euro CAD, that has not filled as of yet in the weekly opening gap. Okay, we went above the high of the opening range, which was yesterday, 24.37, but now we're back in the opening range. And you can see we came across that weekly open pretty strong here at the double low. Take a look at the yearly. 355 above the open, 122 off the high, 622 off the low. But once again, looking at where we are in for the months here, we are in those upper wick zones. Thing about it is, price ranges, and for the month, we've only got, what, about 270 some pips of range. And usually the range is around 400, so we're either going to make a new yearly high, or we're going to turn this month red, and it's going to drop. But according to the seasonality indicator, it says we usually bottom out in March, which is what we've done, and then moves higher into the end of April. So if the seasonality proves to be right, that's what we're going to do. And it looks like we fell 5 pips below that psychological 25 line. And there's another trade that I try to tell people, especially if they're struggling, if they're trying, it's like you have to get away from the variables. You have to have constants. Just trade the psychological lines, the 00, 75, the 50, 25. And just trade those. They're good for a few pips. You trade in a direction price is moving. If it's coming down, like right now, if price moved down to the 00, you don't want to short the 00. Now, chances are the first time it might not crack it, but the second or third time, you'll probably see 95 on the second time and maybe 90 on the third time. Just, things to be aware of, just like the 25. Might not crack it the first time, but then it's going to go from 25 to 20. It almost always does. And just remember, these videos are for educational purposes only, so your results may differ from mine. So range 82 pips, only one pair over 100. So I don't know why the day is so muted, but that's all we've got. And once again, here on the hourly, you see we had the H1 highest open there. Prices drop below that. Nice move to the downside. There's that weekly open cross happened a few hours ago, or what, 5 or 6 hours ago. A little bit more than a few. Coming out of that upper rat zone, you can see nice move here. It'll probably come down to the open right here. That would be my guess. And that open is at 16. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Bambino's flex indicator says short, and pivot trading plan near R1 short. So once again, simple plans. Can you follow this plan? It's not yours, it's somebody else's. It's not mine. But can you follow it? I mean, price was moving up here. So what's it say? No, I don't do that. So it comes down to R1. Looks like it barely touched it, and it bounced up, and here. So once again, that first touch, got to be careful. That second touch, though, would have paid off a few pips. Not much, but a few. So, fellow traders, these plans, these recipes, they're not that difficult, but it's all up to you. Can you check your ego and follow the recipe? Can you? I want to know. Let me know in the comments. Because when you're sitting down at your trading platform, you have to remember and never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.